Oh, great.
Tell them, because we're meeting Thursday morning, that for the recording set for signatures, we're gonna need 12 full copies. And it would be like, I have just a quick summary of who would get one of those recording documents, you being one of them for your files. Our office, of course, borough, code enforcement, the architect.
Good evening, madam. How are you?
How are you?
I came up with 10, that's 2.
When no one's talking, when I turn it up, I can't hear the audio. That's how good the yeah, really good.
Hi, how are you?
It's like 105. I don't remember, but let me go back.
It's like 65 when I walked in. I just turned.
I stopped paying attention about Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh, wait, yeah.
For Memorial Day.
Everyone's turned.
I kept it right.
Hi.
Hey, buddy.
How are you? Hey, that's great news, man.
That great?
That really is fantastic.
Unexpected. I went in there today,
We couldn't
sat
get
down,
this.
bumped out there, sit there for 7 hours. He said he's talking to me. He said, "Hey, this way, like, Admiral, your number's right there. You're a mission."
Okay.
And I turned on it.
Sunday, I got it.
I never tell her.
Perfect. Yep, absolutely.
I don't want you out there working. Could have happened today, could have happened 3 months
You
ago.
bet.
Put a cop that stuff's working. You're good to go.
First thing I thought. Oh, yeah, I made one copy.
Residents, cities.
You know what I'm saying?
So,
I told you about it.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they
I was
don't.
convinced, I don't know why she says this.
I didn't tell you, you couldn't have great.
yeah, no, you're totally fine.
Well, they told me I couldn't win 4 years ago, and it was 55, 45%. I said, the key is to get more Republicans up than the Democrats. Yeah, oh, great time.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
He throws me in the middle. You go up to Hershey. Somebody ride the train with him.
I couldn't get PTO.
Thank you.
Is that the guy?
Thanks for my plan reviews for the school district.
So my son in February got hit in the face with a baseball, broke his nose.
He's got
That was a Tuesday. Thursday.
Good. I learned a lot. I think he did.
Basketball. It was a different team.
And
Couldn't
John
get the plane
Cannon
stop.
went.
Had to drive to Georgia to
And
play
then
football that
they brought the
weekend.
wives up broadly. So
And then the hospital on Monday.
it was good. It was
He
really
did an
good.
X-ray. He hasn't deviated
Key
so much.
speaker last year was Joe Geisman. He was just phenomenal. If you ever get a chance to listen to Joe,
Then he broke his nose the second time at 5.
guy was just
Now,
unbelievable. But this
Tough
year,
kid.
yeah, and doesn't
Guy,
cry. But today, he
You ever
got
seen
hit
the
in the
movie
face with
Battleship?
basketball.
Better?
They put
Oh,
things
great.
on
So you remember the black guy that got his legs cut off?
Yeah.
So he was, he rolls up in a chair. You know,
That's what the
I thought he
trainer
would walk
did
more. I thought
until
that
I
would be
got
cool to
there.
see him walk
And
more.
then
He
it's all
rolls up in a
bruised.
chair.
I'm like, this is
He
just
told me, he's like,
you won't
where? It's all gonna be
I grew
about.
up here.
until he's
Like,
18.
man, get me down.
Because he was
And
septum
he didn't
because
say
they said
anything.
that a boy's
He
nose
just-
doesn't fully
He was
set.
a he's a real army. Yes, he was. He got all the way up to colonel.
So I can take him to the
he
ENT
was
and
like
they'll
a
reset it
lieutenant.
like manually,
Yeah.
which is always fun.
But he was a lieutenant colonel.
Oh, there we go.
No, he never made general. He's one under a general.
Let there be
But
light.
after his legs and all that problems, he did go back for 8 years.
That's what I'm
But he
saying.
was
Like,
telling me that he was in charge of a brigade.
Yeah.
He was in charge of a brigade, and what he did to motivate the men. Exciting. You're not sitting back down, are you? You're ready to stand for this. Wait. I appreciate that. Or we should have some.
All right, we're ready to get started. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll begin with reports of the borough officers. Do we have any messages from the financial advisor?
Just they'll have a full report next meeting. And we were not next month. Cindy and I will begin working on the budget. Can
Okay.
you hear it? Who asked to hear? You hear?
Slow over here. Sounds just like you're walking up there.
Oh, is that better? Okay. All right, so next month you'll start working on the budget?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions regarding the financial advisor? Okay. Police chief?
We had our civil service exam for the 2 positions of probationary police officer. We have a list compiled of 6 candidates who are eligible for the next step, which would be interview by council prior to appointment. I think Tom's going to cover that more in his report. But right now, the testing process is over. The backgrounds are in the process of being done, and we should have them done before the July caucus.
Thank you. Any questions for the police chief? All right. Next up, fire chief. Do we have any information from the fire department?
Fire department chief's out right now. They've been busy in the ambulances right on target for their years of service. And he'll give us full report at the council meeting.
Okay.
Anybody here? He was going to try to send the captain up. They may be out. I don't see one.
All right, thank you. Any questions regarding fire chief? All right. Engineers report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a formal report for this meeting, but I will in 2 weeks for the regular meeting. And on that report, I expect to have a recommendation for an award of the road program contract. That's out to bid right now. The bid opening is 2 weeks from today at 10 a.m. So I expect to have a recommendation for your consideration at that regular council meeting.
Just a point from last meeting. JP and I will be meeting with Aqua. Either Wednesday or Thursday, I forget which day. I think it's 2 o'clock Thursday. We have advised them. We were not at the high level management level that JP and I deal with. It was the permitting level at the bottom level. They weren't aware of they were aware of the project. They weren't aware of the expediency of the project. So we have advised them due to the school. We are not interested in starting tearing roads up at the same time we're building the school. And they want to come in and talk to us. The only way I could ever think about doing that, and it may be in a section, is if they have a imminent damaged main or something that they're expecting that could cause a lot of damage. I'd have to see that data or rely on JP to see the data to say that that's significant. Other than that, I'm going to tell them they can see in 2 years. I mean, my JP and I's concern is we talk to them all the time.
Right.
He had just spoken to them about the road paving program because we don't want to pave the road and then have them come and tear it up. But they had nothing on their radar at all for Clifton Heights Borough. So just wanted to report back that we are on top of it.
All right, thank you. Any additional questions for the engineer? Okay. Next up is the solicitor's report.
Madam President, in regards to the proposed middle school, we're still waiting on the school district for some information. Pretty much the same items that from 2 or 3 weeks ago when council met in May are still outstanding. I sent a message to their attorney today, knowing that I was coming here tonight, asking for execution versions of the land development plan. We haven't received those yet. Mr. Kelly, I understand, got a contact from their engineer or architect late this afternoon, asking about that. I did receive a reply to my email with some proposed changes to the land development plan from the school district attorney. I think they mainly, my cursory review of it, they mainly deal with the fees, which of course, we've discussed and we're still working on. And then in terms of the 2 outstanding PennDOT issues, the attorneys anyway indicate that they have not heard anything from their clients regarding the PennDOT issues. So that's where we are with the school district. They very much were pressing us a month or so ago to get things done because they've got a notice to proceed or sometime in June, right?
22nd.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
have to execute contracts.
so I'm sure we're going to be once again faced with over the next couple of weeks. There'll be a mad rush to try to get all these things accomplished. I do have for the agenda and for your signature the tri-party agreement with Darby Creek Joint Authority, with the owner of 500 East Broadway, and with the borough. I've reviewed it; it's done to my satisfaction. So all the equivalent dwelling units needed for that project are all approved by Darby Creek Joint Authority, and presumably on their way up to DEP if they haven't already been approved. And then for the zoning changes that we talked about, I know there was some questions from residents especially with the pools, to get sort of the pool rules loosened to do that. So I hope to have for the council meeting, we won't be able to adopt it yet because it's got to go through the planning process and advertisement, but a draft of the various zoning changes. Like I said, we tried to wrap a lot of those together, things that we've been working on with Mr. Gould over the last years to try to address some of the business issues we've come up against. So I hope to have that comprehensive package of draft for you for the council meeting. And I think that's all we have at this point.
Okay. Any questions for the solicitor? Next, we have community development and code enforcement.
Thank you, Madam President. We do have a zoning hearing board application we've received for the properties at 9 to 11 and 15 to 17 East Baltimore Avenue. It was formerly the Hayes Sewing Machine retail store. We'll be hearing that later this month. I'm working with the solicitor of the zoning hearing board to get that set up. So I'll be announcing that date at the council meeting. And I'll have a formal report to follow at the council meeting.
Any questions for Mr. Gould at this time? All right.
Thank you.
Accept the manager's report.
Thank you. I'm going to move to the last item on my second last item. I have Bob Lynn here from the architect firm of Lynn Associates and JP to give a presentation. As you know, we discussed 2 West Baltimore Avenue at 2 meetings ago. We had a committee of council meet. We toured the property. We had a discussion here in council chambers. At that meeting, we decided to send the professionals out and give us a report to council for their review, and hopefully we can get some action on this property that's sitting out there vacant. So if you gentlemen want to come up, or Bob want to come up, or how do you want to?
I'll start, I guess. Yeah.
Bob has some handouts for council if we want to give them out first, and then we took some pictures of the interior for you, Bob. That's
about 6 or 7 sets, but we got 15 up here. So
that's okay. We
it's
can.
work real well.
I'm aware of that.
There you go. There you
You're
go.
good, right?
Sharon did it, whether you like to or not. Who doesn't get along?
Me and Bruce.
I have some, so.
All right. There you go. And you guys got one. We got plenty of spares. Chief, you want one?
I grew up there.
You grew up there. You got one more spare. What's the spare? There we go.
Been there,
Lived there for like,
been there, done that.
my uncle did. My uncle owned a business there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think this first was
So I
really
spent
important.
most of my childhood there.
Wow.
Right
And,
there.
it was Price Real Estate. Bill Price owned it. So he
Yeah.
was part of the war board
Oh.
back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Bring this one up.
You got that one?
Died in fire. Built the property and the business to my aunt and uncle.
Yeah, let me turn the projector on too.
They had that.
One of those.
He died in
Yep.
92. My
A
uncle
couple
retired,
ideas.
sold
Just
the
a
property
small
probably
building
about
facility behind this building.
Okay. That's interesting.
We have one.
I know where that is.
that was an absolute beautiful property.
And one more.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the leaves and everything, it's gorgeous. They were.
Not anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
There a microphone on there?
Yeah, you want to grab a mic?
I like that one. even better.
Here, take this one here.
Yeah.
Here, take this one.
That's it.
Yeah, just hit the button.
Yeah, we're on. Thank you. So I know most of you, but I am Bob Lynn, for those that haven't met, Principal Lynn Architects. And we were asked both 2 years ago, last year and this year, to look at the corner building to West Baltimore Pike with an eye towards, is it the highest and best purposeful use? Is it something in good condition? Does it really have historical character? What does the little building behind it, which is a little garage, really do for the property? And we actually went through and surveyed the entire building. We did existing conditions plans of the building, and we analyzed the building. And again, I walked through with at least 4 of you a couple weeks back, and we concluded that it had been, first of all, with the addition on the side, on the northerly side, really had changed its historic character quite a bit. But also that some of the interior attempts to give the building some love weren't exactly successful. Think little details like bearing walls have been removed. Some of the structural conditions have been pulled apart. The electrical's in deplorable condition. Any building that sits for a while that isn't active begins to show just signs of abuse and wear and tear from temperature. Wonderful bathroom. I like the yellow color. There isn't a building you can't save. The question becomes, do you want to save it? Is there a reason to save it? And I said to the group I walked through with, I probably have, and it sounds arrogant, but I probably saved more vintage buildings in Delaware County than any other architect. And I've got 14 or 15 awards from Delaware County Historic Commission for adaptive reuse and buildings we've transitioned. And we didn't tear down the Media Armory. We made a Trader Joe's. Those are the kind of projects which are worth it. We just finished the AME church out in Concord Township. So I don't walk up to a building and randomly say, this building doesn't have a lot of validity. But quite frankly, this building here, to me, has passed its useful life, has very few redeeming characteristics, and has been adaptively reused in a manner which I wasn't happy with on the interior. So my question became, what else could we possibly do on the corner? And we struggle with this in urban environments all over the place, but we're really hurting for parking in this borough, especially for the retail sector. Every time I turn around, some retail business is struggling because they have no parking. You can't park in the parallel spaces on Baltimore Pike. There's no support. And I know John faces this in zoning all the time. The question becomes, would this possibly be a candidate for, number one, saving the little building on the back and converting it to perhaps a little mini meeting room, something for the Historic Society that they could keep their records, they could have a table, and put something on it that looks like it belongs there. And a couple of those examples I showed you are little garage buildings that have been converted. We certainly could do something attractive. Second question becomes, is PennDOT going to do something with the corner? And not different than the corner in the northwest, I suspect the southwest corner is going to be radiused and changed at some point in the near future. It's a bad intersection. We all know it. So sometime PennDOT's going to take a little bit of that corner. And the third question is, can we green it up? Can we do something attractive? Can we put a couple brick pillars, maybe a little decorative wrought iron fence, and some legitimate parking behind the street wall? We call that a street wall in our terminology. I mean, they're all over media. There's one on Bob's Discount Furniture up the old Ferraro in Springfield. That's a street wall. And it gives you a sense of identity and a distinction from being on the roadway. Can we do that? Yeah, absolutely. And can we create some legitimate parking spaces interspersed with some greenery that gives you the ability to support your first 2 blocks of retail on Baltimore Pike? I think you could easily. There's communities dying, wishing they had a parcel or a building they could do that to. So with that in mind, my suggestion is that you seriously consider taking down the building, what's left of it, repurposing the building on the back for something legitimate. And I said the Historic Society, I mean, I think they certainly deserve a home and a place. Give it a facelift, make it look like something vintage and decorative, which you could certainly do. And then recreating, with the help of the borough engineer, a parking field there that has legitimate parking to support the community, the retail base, and some greenery and some softening of the corner. So I could go on for hours about the building, but that's my basic overall summary report. And I don't know whether JP has, Mr. Kelly has anything else to add, or?
Well, I can add this. For many, many, many years, I sat with many councils. Parking in the borough has been a primary issue. In fact, we've just applied for a grant so that we can study the parking and improve the parking. And the whole Baltimore Pike and the Springfield Road corridor systems, again and again after studies, say that we just simply don't have enough parking to support the businesses. So that, coupled with that radius that we're looking at right now, as you see, your through lane has to take a jog through that intersection because of the alignment. So it's dangerous, it's difficult. The opposing leg of that intersection has to wait, or there's often a conflict there where a car would have to drive around to avoid a head-on collision. in that system. So by taking some of this property, creating green space and creating a parking facility or parking space to support the businesses, realigning that radius, I think back to what you initially started, Bob, would be the highest and best use. And I'll let John speak about the interior. It has been rehabbed again and again. Bearing walls have been taken out. Some electric work has been done. It's really beat up. And we've had years and years of trying to get an end user in that building, and it just simply hasn't happened.
Show me structural, just as an example, just so you understand.
Yeah, so what we have here is we have a interior partition walls that were removed. There's outdated electric, as you can see in the next slide. There's knob and tube wiring that's also been attached with more modern wiring. Like most of our houses here in Clifton, this is an old house with over 100 years of repairs and Band-Aids being made to it. And we're left here with this, hodgepodge of construction, some old, some modern. And, it'd be a great, as Bob said, it would be a great expense to try to salvage this building for a use that may or may not exist.
Bob, what would be your rough, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, we had discussed some costs, if we wanted to renovate that, just in your experience, ballpark.
Well, I don't have a tangible number there, Tom, but, you can easily spend $150 to $200 a square foot on something in this condition. So it adds up pretty quickly.
500,000 to 600,000.
Yeah, and of course you have an inaccessible second floor. There's no vertical accessibility. You have basically almost an inaccessible first floor without a ramp. So you have ADA compliance issues that are a problem under the IBC and the ANSI 117. It's just been let go too long, and it's what was done to it was not done in a manner that's code consistent. So you're going to put a lot of money, and then the question is, you've been trying to attract the end user for a while. They don't seem to be there. So could you use it for something better, which is support the end users you do have on Baltimore Pike, and and give them a little bit of parking field, that whether it's for employees or whether it's for patrons, something to help out.
So, Madam Chair, the reason I brought it to this level right now, I've been discussing, we can meet with Bob over at JP, and then having the committee form, is I'd like to bring the council, ask these two gentlemen to submit proposals for the demolition of it. And then also the second phase would be after we demolish it, have JP work on the reuse of the parking lot. One of the things we were really looking at to see if we can accomplish it, JP's studying, but we did bring in $1.7 million for stormwater management enhancements along Baltimore corridor for the new school. This may be an opportunity to do an underground storage capacity for that intersection. It sheet flows across. I mean, the water comes down Springfield Road very rapidly. We might be able to capture some of that and put it in storage basin underneath and utilize some of that money to come across and make that intersection something Clifton could be proud of. But first step would be having to get them to submit proposals. So I'd like to see if we get on the agenda to get moving, see if they can submit proposals to bring to council. That's really
Mr. Mercosi, most important thing is we don't want it to look like an asphalt parking lot. I think the opportunity is there to still have it as a soft gateway green space on the front. And I've worked with JP for 30 years and his father before that on projects like this. And, collectively come up with a nice, clean, creative parking area that looks like it's welcoming.
Right.
Serves a function, but also doesn't look like, I paved some more asphalt.
Right.
I think that's really important, and we can work real well together in that.
Absolutely.
Just like you like your new digs we designed here?
By the way, Bob did the design.
Well, JP and I did the whole building a couple of years ago, but I mean, the whole idea was make it look modern and new and neat. And I like the dark gray, though. I think it really sets you all off up there.
I think it's important for council to realize and understand, it was brought up earlier, but to show the original building, the historic portion of the building is the original portion here. And then there were a number of additions added over the years, the commercial addition here, the back kitchen and back bedroom addition in this slide. The same thing here again, this is the original house. This is an addition. Both of these are additions on the property.
And when you do take down an historic building, if it is historic, I'm still not totally convinced. One of the things you do under the Secretary of the Interior standards is you document the building. So we have great photographs of it for archives. We have great floor plans of it. So those tasks have been accomplished. And that's one of the things which complies with an historical removal. So that's already been done.
And one of the themes, John, I've worked on since I've arrived here, I'm a firm believer in we can't be asking residents and commercial businesses to be compliant with code. We're not. this was a business in the area, we would, and I've been on it for 3 years, almost 2.5 years now. We'd be all over it to try to make sure that this is a code compliant building. So I think we have to step up and show we're doing something with the building.
What's the idea with the garage? What?
But this is, it's this.
I see an opportunity to take the garage in the back and repurpose it, obviously clean it up, put a little facade on it, you know, and give it a little space for a small meeting room, a breakout room for the Historic Society, just to preserve something in the back corner. You don't need the real estate for parking. And I think it could still have some validity. Something cute, put a few touches on it, put a nod to the building that's on the front, you know, in the back.
You guys have this? Yeah, well.
We have it.
You get one spare if you make it really short.
Wait, Dennis. That's it. Yeah. That was it for that. And the Slinky sign stays, so John brought that up. Thank you. And that's all I have. Do I have any questions for Bob?
What's the garage being used for now?
We're allowing the Clifton Boys Club to store their gear in there while the renovations of the school are going. They have all their pads and helmets and things like that, rather than them having to go rent something out.
Yeah, no,
Make
that's,
sure the building is there, it's right there.
okay. So that's what they.
All right, thanks, Bob. Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you for your time.
Madam President, before Mr. Lynn goes, maybe, I hate to put him on the spot, but take advantage of him being here. Mr. Lynn is doing plan review for the middle school.
My office
office
is doing a
okay.
plan review for the middle school. I've been involved, but the real heavy lifting goes to Ryan McCann and Jeff Gentile from our office, who are certified code officials. And the school plans themselves are, in their opinion, very close to being something that would be code compliant. They're doing some fine tuning, no different than you're doing fine tuning on land development from what I just heard, John. I would say that the architects for the school and the MEP engineers have actually worked pretty hard to respond to our review comments. We started our review early on to make sure there was no lag in timing. And I'd say we're very close to the end of the process. Now, I can get you a formal comment on that from either Ryan or Jeff. I just don't want to give you more detail than that level.
Yeah, we knew you were working on it. We, obviously, it's been a topic of discussion.
Yes.
Thought I'd be able to take advantage of Mr. Lynn being here.
Yes.
Give up a little report on that. It's, as we reported, it's a little bit different in that normally you finish the land development process and then you move into the process to review the building and that sort of thing. Here, we put those on parallel tracks to
Yes.
save a little time for the school district. And
Same with the plans, Ms. McLean. We basically started the review before they were even complete to make sure they weren't heading too far down an avenue that was incorrect. And so we've been working with them since day one to make sure they continue to respond to comments all along. Things like exits or exit capacity or distance of travel or accessibility components. So they have responded appropriately to our reviews. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Sure, you're welcome.
Moving up to the top, the discussion to revise the permit fee ordinance to address large projects and looking at tiers. We've discussed this several meetings. John has taken a poke at it with JP and John Poole. We're hoping that we possibly may have something before council next month or next meeting. Weeks. Parking meter fees. So we have, the chief and I, we are working with Park Mobile. We just sent them the actual ordinances that are on the books. And we have ordinances on the books for Walnut Street. We have ordinances on the book for Glenwood Avenue. We have ordinances on the book for Baltimore Avenue. We have ordinances on the book for Springfield Road. The fees are 25 cents per hour. I just checked with Bob and he said it's 15 cents. What did you tell me?
Median burr is 25 cents for 10 minutes.
Yeah, 25 cents for 10 minutes. So,
They haven't been addressed since 1989.
no, but the question comes in for council. When I look at it, and the chief and I have talked about it, I think the best way to approach this is use the existing ordinances that we have, implement the program, because we can change them at any time because it's on an app. And put it out there and then have people adjust to it. And right now we can do up to, there's multiple things. We can have parking where you have to every 15 minutes and lock it out that they have to respond back. That'll keep the cars moving. You can make it 8-hour, you can make it 24-hour. And if we put them out there based on the existing ordinances, rather than change the fee, we look maybe changing the hours and the things that are happening now in the community post 1989. So if that's okay, that's what I was looking at. I don't know what the flavor of council is, whether you want, we're looking more for parking for people to move rather than sit, because businesses want them to move. And you don't want it too high in case, somebody wants to run in and spend 20 minutes for the appliance guy and it costs them $4. Like we're not center city, but we want to make sure that we can keep people, the stores, the purpose of meters is to keep people moving in front of the stores for retail concepts and apartment dwellers and other people in the neighborhoods, not to tie those spots up. So we're working with the Park Mobile guy. He's coming down. We're going to have a phone interview, I think, Wednesday afternoon, and we'll report back to council. But right now, unless you want to change the ordinances, I think that would be a long process. I'd like to get the Park Mobile moving and try to get it in before the end of summer, particularly at the Walnut Street and also at Glenwood Avenue. If that's okay with council. Any comments or, okay?
And just, Tom, I think we probably have to do something because we have to incorporate their fee into that, right?
Correct.
They have a flat fee that they take per transaction, which is it 40 cents?
I have it. Yeah, it's 40 cents.
It's more than what the quarter is now for the,
Yeah, right.
So.
That's what I mean. We can adjust that. Yeah, right. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so I mean, it might be the type of thing where even as egregious as the parking fees are in media, if most people put in for like an hour, it's, that might be, $1, $1.50 or something like that. I mean, once again, it tiers down the longer you get. And, we might look at something like that.
Maybe the way it goes, we have the ordinance adopted for the fees for the payment by credit card ordinance. Maybe we'll look at something similar to that. But if I'm not mistaken, John, it's based on one transaction, not the percentage of the cost, right?
Yes,
Right.
but my recollection is it's 40 cents.
Yeah. Okay.
So charging them a quarter for the first hour doesn't get it done.
Okay. All right. Thought it was in the, I'll look at it tomorrow.
I could be wrong about the fee,
I
but
thought we knew, when I signed up for Park Mobile on my app, I agreed to whatever fees are charged through them. I thought.
I thought during our discussions, it was a zero input from us to Park Mobile. They make their money off their customers who use the app. I could be wrong because it was, almost a year ago that we started negotiating with them. I thought there was a zero cost on our end of it.
We don't pay any money.
right, they take it, but
But on the user end, not on, it's our fee plus their convenience fee.
yeah, council can have it can be 25 cents for the first hour if you want, but it's 25 plus the 40.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the numbers got to be revisited anyway at some point. So, because the off-street parking, Glenwood Avenue, Walnut Street, South Springfield Road, I think they can be revisited, not from a revenue standpoint, but just from coming in line with what is expected to be paid in the business district.
Right. There's a lot of considerations there.
Yeah.
All right. That was on the police interviews, John. We'd like to potentially, if we finish everything out, which I'm hearing we have down to 6. If we finish everything out, we'd like to possibly have a executive session previous to the council meeting for the interviews for personnel, for them to take to council for the hiring. Try to get officers on the street as fast as possible. If council we
Prior to the council meeting or prior to the July workshop?
Whatever fits council's schedule, because it's going to be probably, I would say, given the applicants 10 minutes each for an interview, it's going to be an hour process prior to either meeting. So,
the backgrounds are going to be done.
Backgrounds are going to be done. I have, out of 6, we have, I think, 2 left. And then when the prospective applicants get a conditional offer of hiring, that's when they go through the polygraph, the psychological, and the physical.
Do whatever you want.
Okay. Right. If we haven't done, I think, we get them in here and get it done.
I'll be able to tell you before you make the agenda for the caucus whether or not we can do it. I'll give everybody plenty of time. I'll get a feel way before the next caucus where
In
where
the
we're
past, we used to not do it before a council meeting, but bring them in on a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Oh, it's on convenience of council. If you want to come in on a third night
That's
of
what
the
we did
month, that's up to
before.
you.
We come in on a Wednesday or a Thursday and spend time
Whatever you guys want to do.
interviewing each council person. You want to ask them 3 to 4 questions. And then based on those answers, we'll determine which police officer you would like to bring on board. So it can be a long process.
Get a consensus of availability and
Yeah.
probably go from there.
We're flexible.
John,
Tim, one question. Used to be when we hired a police officer, you had an informal rule that we hire a guy, we fit leather work and body armor to him. If he quits within a year, he reimburses us. Is that still the rule?
We have a contract that they have to sign with their conditional offer of employment for reimbursement on a sliding percentage for their time of service.
Okay.
So if we invest $2,000 in equipment in them on day one, as they approach their first year, if they leave before that date, it's a percentage back that they have to pay the borough. But that's contract that they enter into.
Okay, do we need to mention that to them in the interview?
No, you don't have to mention it at all. If they'll get a conditional offer of employment. If they choose not to take it, they choose not to take it.
and we're also giving $5,000 bonus.
Yeah, they get a $5,000 stipend that I'm in the process of discussing with the solicitor as far as they have to make their probation, which is 6 months. They have to stay at least a minimum of a year. And then again, just like with the equipment, if they leave before a year, they have to reimburse us a certain portion of the signing bonus is the way we have. I preliminarily worded it with waiting for a review from the solicitor.
Okay.
I'll talk to Suzanne. We'll get some dates out there and see what you guys want to, how we handle. Then the only other thing we have the meeting scheduled for the residents that are immediately around the school for the 13th. And then we're waiting on the school district to, I don't want to create the big meeting for the whole town until we have the permits until we know what goes on with Oak Avenue.
Okay.
So that's where we're at with that. That's all I have.
Any-
Fourth of July ceremonies we're locked in with the fireworks, so we're good.
Any questions for the manager? All right. So we will move on to council reports. Mr. Swan? Mr. Resnick?
Nothing.
Mr. Fagioli?
All I have is wait for the mayor and let him explain the conference.
Okay. Mr. Cannon?
I'm just going to repeat the same thing.
All right. And Ms. Borelli? I don't have anything, thank you. Okay. I don't have anything tonight either, so slow week. Mr. Gorman?
Nothing.
All right. Mr. Mayor?
So as the council people mentioned, a couple people, Bruce and John Cannon, Tom and me went to this year's borough convention. It was a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It actually goes to Thursday, but most of us left Tuesday today. And I know I talked to all of them, so we all did different classes and learned different things. I personally, with Tom, we saw the commissioner of fire was up there. And as you can imagine, a lot of these fire houses are closing because of budgets and just, a truck is $1 million and a ladder truck is $2 million. And these small towns just can't do the funding. So it's a big, big problem that they're working on. And they're working with the senators and congressmen to get more funding for these firehouses. We also went to a class for
how to hire more police officers, and we came to the conclusion that we don't know that answer. We've tried everything possible by going actually to the schools where they learn all that police work and try to talk to the individuals beforehand to come to Clifton. And sometimes that works and most times it doesn't work. So, but we did do a lot of networking with, if you know, that's just where we got the LED signs and we got the street sweeper. Penn Strategies came out of that conference. So there's a lot of good stuff that came out of it. And I can go in more detail on the council meeting in 2 weeks. And I will have a proclamation for the Juneteenth celebration in 2 weeks. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you, Madam President.
All right. So we'll have a motion for adjournment then.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.